we're now 3 weeks in. Are you preaching calm or alarm as far as Gio Reyna's lack of playing time as it stands at Nottingham Forest?
Well, I think it's still calm. I mean, I think it's still too early. I think anytime you move to any club, excuse me, it's always, you know, one of those situations where, yes, you want to see him thrown straight into it, but I think in the current situation that Forest is in, I don't think it makes sense to do that right away. I mean, of course, let's go 3-4 weeks down, and if it's still a lack of any significant minutes, and yeah, it'll be frustrating. But I think the same thing is you know, Gio's a very young player still, and he's still looking to try to come back from the injury setbacks and the different you know, issues at Dortmund, and so yeah, I'm totally calm right now, and but yes, there is that point where we're all hoping that there's a long, steady run. Look, we said the same thing about Christian at Chelsea. We wanted to see basically have that opportunity to be a starter week in and week out and contribute very well, either through form or fitness. There were some issues for that. Now Christian's gone to AC Milan and done very well in his start to that career. So I think we're still waiting to see, you know, where this pans out for Gio. But, you know, with Dortmund re-signing him to a new contract, you know, no buyout clause, you know, there's still a lot of time left, and if this works or not, it's still no reason to panic.
You know, this game obviously, you know, took place on Saturday. And as I'm watching, I'm just thinking back to the discussions that we had on this show. I was pretty pessimistic when it was announced that he'd be going to Nottingham Forest. And it was this exact, not just game, Kasey, really, but situation that worried me. Knowing the profile of Gio Reyna, knowing that Nottingham Forest is in a relegation fight, and knowing that he probably wouldn't be in the starting lineup most games, barring injury, he's just not the player that if your team's winning in a relegation fight is going to get brought on. And so there are many situations where Gio Reyna doesn't necessarily seem to fit what Nottingham Forest right now for their club needs. And the response that I got, certainly on this show from Herc and from others who kind of defended the move, was that, well, at least it's an upgrade to Dortmund. Anything is better than Dortmund. And yet, Kasey, if the goal was playing time, he's getting less than 10 minutes a game. He just got a DNP. Even at the end of his time at Dortmund, he was getting 20, 25 minutes a game. They're a team in the Champions League, by the way, so he gave up Champions League football to be on the bench in a relegation race. Like, even 3 weeks in, even the low bar that we had set for what Dortmund was, I don't know if we can even look at this and say, well, at least it's better than Dortmund anymore. I think it may be worse. And the biggest part of this, Kasey, is what does it mean for his spot with the national team? Because there are some guys, Kasey, who can keep their spot in the national team without starting for their club. I know Gio Reyna's unique, Kasey, and I know he's got a lot of talent. And I know he's probably the leader in the clubhouse to play that 10 if they play with that position. But is he still a starter for the national team if he's not starting for Forest? Because I don't see him starting for Forest anytime soon.
Well, I think, again, it has to be situational. I think it has to depend on what players are fit, what it looks like. I mean, yeah, I'd love to have the kind of the ability as a national team to have such a deep squad that if some of your most talented players are missing some playing time at the moment, that you can then just go to the next one. Well, you know, we don't have that in particularly in creative situations. So there are times when, yes, it's not ideal. Of course you want all your players getting regular playing time, but it happens from time to time. And then that's up to the coaching staff, Greg, and the national team coaching staff to basically put together the team that's going to give them the best opportunity to win. And but there's no question that a lack of playing time isn't ideal for any player, much yet a young player.